And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Robbie Tsumai. I think that's how you pronounce that. Robbie Tsumai writes, "Hey, John and Rob. So news came out the other day that Pfizer announced, speaking of Viagra, that Pfizer announced that they had a potential vaccine that had a 90% effective rate. And we're talking about a vaccine for the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously. That had a 90% effective rate. On this news, stocks in movie theaters instantly shot up. I think Cinemark stock jumped as much as 40%. Is this the good news that theaters and their investors have been needing? Will investors be more willing to hang in there with the theaters now?" All right. Thanks a lot for sending in that question, man. And yeah, I mean, look, first of all, obviously, the news of a possible vaccine coming out from Pfizer or anybody else is obviously much bigger news than just how it relates to, you know, the movie world and movie theaters. But that's what we are here to talk about, is the movie world and movie theaters. This news came out, and you're right. Instantly, when this news came out, the stocks in theaters like AMC and Cinemark immediately surged upwards. In other words, the market saw this news as being potentially extremely good for the movie theater industry. How good? Well, I mean, according to who you're reading, a Business Insider at this point says AMC is up 80% as movie theater stocks surge after Pfizer says COVID-19 vaccine is effective. This comes to us from CNN. AMC stock spiked as much as 50% following an announcement of early data from the drug maker Pfizer. That is, coronavirus vaccine is more than 90% effective, which is far better than expected. The company shares were up a whopping 80% in pre-market trading right after the news broke. Cinemark, the third largest movie theater chain in the US, also got a major boost, which with its stocks rising more than 40% after the opening bell. All right. So there's a couple of interesting things here about this. Number one, obviously the bigger issues is, of course, we're talking about a possibility to something that could end the pandemic, that is great. But we're here to talk about the specific about what is this news now, not a month from now, not 3 months from now, not 6 months from now. What does this news now do for the movie theater industry? I think there's a possibility for a couple of very positive things. How often Rob, in the last 6 months, how often have we been able to use movie theaters and the word positive in the same sentence? Not often. Many. Not many and not much. But this could be an extremely positive thing. Obviously, the initial reaction was quick and instantaneous. The market saw that. They believe that boded very well for the theaters, and instantly movie theaters stocks all shot up. The longer term question, though, that they asked in the main question here is, would this possibly have creditors, investors be willing to have a little, like steel themselves a little more to hang in there? Because Rob, one of the things that you and I have talked about over the past couple of months is you can get into this spiral if you're the movie theaters of taking on more debt and taking on more debt and then taking on more debt. But at some point, the people who lend money aren't going to lend any more money.
Right.
Because they're going to see
any more money to lend.
They don't have any more money to lend. And if you try to go to a new lender, they're like, well, you've already got 5 other people you owe money to that are going to get paid back before me if I lend you any, blah, blah, blah. Something like this, though, could very much encourage, number one, the people who are currently invested to have a lot more patience because they're seeing signs of maybe light at the end of the tunnel. And number two, it could open the door for some potential investors to say, hey, look, the stock is rising. It looks like there might be some light at the end of the tunnel as far as this pandemic goes. Yeah, maybe we do feel comfortable stepping in and giving AMC theaters or Cinemark or whatever an additional lifeline to get them over that finish line to where they got to be for when the movies start coming out again. Because Rob, I've always said that I believe if, and that's a huge if the theaters can survive till when the movies start coming out again, I believe they'll be fine. I just haven't been so confident that they can actually stay alive until that happens. this could be that olive branch they need. And maybe I'm being overly optimistic. It's quite possible. It could be that little bit of hope that they need that maybe says they can get there. I don't know, Rob, you've seen the events transpiring over the last few days. What do you make of this?
Well, look, I mean, even the scientists themselves are saying a 90% effectiveness rate is pretty extraordinary. I would almost say too good to be true. And to me, like, I just, when coming up with a vaccine for something like this so quickly with so much money at stake and lives at stake, I would always err on the side of caution. But that said, Pfizer and their German partner company are pretty reputable companies in terms of big pharma. But then again, do you trust big pharma? I don't know.
Well, but that's a good point you raised, Rob. That should be. This is not some. Maybe not everybody recognizes the name Pfizer, but it is important to note that you were just bringing up. This is not some fly-by-night mom and pop. This is a very well-established, very long-standing, very reputable pharmaceutical company. But anyway, please continue.
Well, and I would say that, look, a vaccine is obviously, when it comes to things like Disney parks, movie theaters, sporting events, large gatherings. I mean, that's the one thing that we've really lost so much from is we can't go anywhere. You know, we can't be around other people. And movie theaters are all about getting together with strangers in the dark. And so I hope that this works out. And if they can really start distributing this, and let's hope there's no long-term effects that aren't revealed for a while, that it works, I think it's the best news in the world for movie theaters. I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly, I'll tell you this, I'm not somebody who's going to get on the front lines to be a test subject. I saw I Am Legend. I know what can happen. You know,
Will Smith warned me about you guys.
But I do think that, you know, all medical advances like this are born out of innovation. And sometimes when people need to step up, we've got the greatest. I mean, there was almost a Manhattan Project like fervor behind solving this problem in the last year. And, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think movie theaters should be too. And dude, I just want to look, selfishly, there's like 10 movies I want to see in the theater.
Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it would be great. But hey, listen, regardless of how good or bad this turns out to be, it is at least the first little bit of potentially good news for the movie theater industry at this point. But what do you guys think? You know, the market reacted very positively. Do you think this will continue to have a positive effect moving forward for the theaters? Or do you think this is just a flash in the pan? How do you guys see this? Jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.